Tesla stock is up almost 2% today, well outpacing the S&P's almost 1% drop following big news last night from Elon Musk. Now, Elon Musk kind of shocked everyone when he appeared at the meeting for Tesla employees, and Tesla live streamed this probably because of the calls from the investment community on Elon to become more dialed in at Tesla. This is Elon giving Wall Street what they want, and he seems very in tune with what is going on at Tesla. Now, some of the main headliners that are really catching attention today, well, at least one of them, is this. Elon said that Tesla has a bright future with autonomy and to, quote, hold on to your stock. Take a listen.
So what I'm saying is hang on to your stock.
Pretty simple. Elon Musk also confirms, he says, quote, the way things are tracking right now, Tesla will build its 10 millionth vehicle next year. And just so we're all aware, this was Tesla's first ever public all-hands meeting. I mean, it's never been live streamed before. And, you know, it's Dan Ives yesterday, one of the biggest bulls on Tesla, said that Elon really needs to confirm that he is still working at Tesla. And the next day, you have this all-hands meeting. Well, it was like 10 hours later, okay? He's obviously listening to what Wall Street is saying. And Elon Musk says again that the Model Y will be the best-selling car in the world in 2025 for the third year in a row, which kind of puts to rest at least some of those concerns about the Tesla brand, about deliveries and where things are headed. Elon Musk also confirmed last night that their semi-truck factory remains on track to complete construction this year. Elon Musk has announced that Tesla has built its first Optimus humanoid robot at a new pilot production line at its Fremont factory. Elon Musk also says this about FSD. He says 5 to 10% of the training load is being handled by Dojo. He says, I'm increasingly optimistic about the future of Dojo, which is very different relative to I believe it was 2 earnings ago, where Elon said Dojo was a bit of a long shot, like really downplayed that, and now he's, well, not. Elon Musk also announced that the new Optimus hand with 22 degrees of freedom and a new forearm is now in production, which is much more comparable to a human hand. Elon Musk said this about Tesla's castings. He says, quote, maybe we need to get even bigger casting machines. Let's do 50,000 tons, up from 9,000 tons currently. Elon Musk said this about the Tesla Optimus robot. Quote, Tesla is aiming to build 5,000 Optimus units this year. But we are ordering enough components to build 10,000 to 12,000 this year. Come on. Give me a break, dude. You're selling Tesla, it's down 50%, and Tesla's going to make 5,000 Optimus robots this year. I mean, maybe 10 or 12,000 this year. The future is never brighter at Tesla than what it is today. Elon Musk said that he would love to make airplanes, but he's stretched pretty thin. He says he has like 17 jobs. Elon Musk also said this about the stock market, which specifically in regards to Tesla is probably one of the reasons why Tesla is also doing well today. He basically says that while Wall Street is emotional, super emotional, the business is still the same, kind of reaffirming that nothing has really changed, that the floor is not falling out underneath Tesla, as some people have assumed. And here's what Elon Musk said about Optimus and how it fits into Tesla's mission.
To kind of explain to the world better about how Optimus and AI folds into the rest of the fabric of the company.
Yeah, I mean, I touched on this briefly earlier, but you're right that I think we do need to articulate it more prominently and maybe more often, because it's really about sustainable abundance. You know, can we have a future of abundance for all that is also sustainable and compatible with nature? So we're not destroying nature, but you also get abundance for everyone on Earth. Sounds like the best possible future. That's what we're trying to do.
Elon Musk also dropped this bombshell that we haven't exactly heard before, although we've kind of speculated on this. Elon Musk says a Tesla Cybercab will roll off the production line every 5 seconds. This compares to every 35 seconds for a Model Y. So 7 times faster here. That is insane, to say the very least. And you can also see that Tesla's Megapacks are being shipped off from Tesla's new Shanghai Megafactory that just finished construction like 3 weeks ago. So here's kind of a summary of everything we learned last night from Tesla's all hands live stream. Tesla produced its first Optimus bot at their new production line at Fremont. New Optimus hand with 22 degrees of freedom, up from 11, and new forearms, now in production. A Tesla Cybercab will ultimately roll off the production line every 5 seconds versus 35 seconds for the Model Y. Tesla's 4680 cell is now the lowest cost cell per kilowatt hour in the world. Dojo 1 is active in New York and Palo Alto and is handling 10% of FSD's training load currently. Dojo 2 is on the way, will be 10x better than Dojo 1. And quote, Elon said, "We have a real shot at a breakthrough." Tesla on track to build the 10 millionth car in 2026. The Model Y is on track to be the best-selling car in the world in 2025 for the 3rd year in a row. Tesla's semi-truck factory remains on track to complete construction this year. Elon Musk wants to experiment with a much larger gigacasting machine, potentially up to 50,000 tons, up from 9,000 currently. Tesla produced 160,000 NACS adapters at Giga New York. Record battery production currently happening at Giga Nevada. Tesla's Cortex supercomputer at Giga Texas is currently 50,000 GPUs, will be 100,000 at that point, and it will be the top 5 global training cluster. You also again had the Optimus news that Tesla is planning on building 5,000 Optimus bots this year, but has enough components and parts, if you will, ordered to produce 10 to 12,000. So anywhere in that range, I think would be good for Tesla stock. Now, Dan Ives posted on X, "Leaders lead," and Elon Musk made a huge step forward in our view with holding a quickly put together all-hands meeting tonight for Tesla employees. This was needed for many reasons that we have discussed over the last week, and we applaud Elon Musk for doing this. Big step forward. And Elon Musk also said this about Optimus. He said, quote, "Optimus will be the biggest product of all time by far. Nothing will even be close. I think it'll be 10 times bigger than the next biggest product ever made." Think about the iPhone, which is the top selling product of all time. Now think 10 times larger than the iPhone. You know, that's kind of insane, which it could make sense if you think about that logically. Like, I mean, we're in America. I mean, I know some of you guys are in like Singapore and in Canada. This all kind of, you know, can be equated to you guys as well. And that's just like top, 3 biggest viewership cities. You have LA, you have New York, and you have Singapore. Singapore is a top 3. So shout out to you guys if you're watching from Singapore. Nonetheless, Optimus, just one basic kind of utility of Optimus, taking care of your elders, could be equally as big as the iPhone. Because in developed worlds, a lot of people put their elders in like homes and stuff like that. Well, like 80%, 90% of the world's population takes care of their elders personally. Like, you work your whole life as an adult, you do your job, take care of your kids. When your mom, grandmas, grandpas get older, you basically stop that and start taking care of them and let your kids take on your past role. If Optimus could replace that, imagine what kind of benefit that could be for society, like everywhere. And this is obviously what investors wanted to hear in Tesla stock. Tesla is up 2.3% today. Honestly, I'm surprised it's not up more, but you do have pressure coming from the broader markets. You did get a bit of a gap down from yesterday on the SPY. You've been seeing a lot of what I would call resistance around this 200-day moving average. S&P is down about 0.5% at the time of recording this video. Part of this has to do with FedEx and Nike earnings. Last night, FedEx was the latest company to sound the alarm in the US economy, and Nike basically said their Q1 is imploding, that they're going to have around 14 to 15% negative year-over-year revenue, essentially. Right? So that's not good. That's not a good sign for the consumer or a good sign for the economy. And that's definitely putting stocks under a bit of pressure today. Also have Chicago Fed President Goolsbee that sees rate cuts depending on inflation progress. Now, the headline of this sounds like he's against rate cuts, anytime soon. But listen to this, okay? He says, quote, "When you got a lot of uncertainty, I do think you need to wait to see some of these things get cleared up on the policy side," the central banker said during a Squawk Box interview. Quote, "I'm out talking to business people and civic leaders throughout this region, and there's been a decided turn in these conversations over the last 6 weeks of anxiety, of pausing, waiting on capital projects, CapEx, etc., until they figure out tariffs and other fiscal policy." Goolsbee just said he's hearing people, business leaders, that are pausing investments, that are really not doing much. That's a pretty affirmative sign from some of the soft data that we've seen recently. Likely is going to translate into some of that hard data. So, I guess you can make a headline out of anything you want, but Goolsbee sounds more concerned about the economy, I would say, from the transcript of this interview. Now, New York Fed President John Williams also noted the high level of uncertainty around decision-making and economic trends, particularly inflation. He says, quote, "Recent data, both hard and soft, are sending mixed signals. Measures of policy uncertainty have increased sharply in recent months," Williams said during a speech in Nassau, the Bahamas. Isn't that nice to be in Nassau right now? Nonetheless, the Fed essentially has no idea what is going on out there, and they're waiting for a little bit more clarity. Unfortunately, I think the markets are already starting to figure out the economy's probably going to get worse here before it gets better. I think the big question is, what's the dynamic around inflation look like? Does inflation rise with tariffs? Or, does the downdraft in the economy bring down inflation as well, even if we get tariffs? Nobody really knows the answer to that question, but it does seem likely the economy continues to weaken, and I think that's why the S&P is selling off today. Now, option activity today from hedge funds and institutions in Tesla is quite positive. You have 57 different trades totaling $35.24 million with a positive order value of 60%. Volume today is about 54% calls and 46% puts. If we take a look at what the short sellers are doing, not a whole lot of a change here. You have a borrowed change of 18,300 shares being sold short. So you have borrowed shares of 411,000 and return shares of 393,000. So short sellers not doing a whole lot here today, but even yesterday you had over 1 million shares that were covered, and that seems to be the overall trend as Tesla's short interest has continued to really plummet over the past couple of weeks. Google Trends data for Tesla in the United States seems to be on a good note as well. The Cybertruck is now hitting 24, which is the highest level you have been at since at least November of 2024. The Model Y is at 15, which is better than 13. That is the number you had at the same period last year. The Model 3 is at 13, Last year, the Model 3 was at 11 during this time of the year. The Model S is getting a lot of activity as well. It could be because Trump purchased it. Model S is at 8. Last year, it was at 4. And the Model X is at 5. Last year, it was also at 5. So if you're looking at year-over-year changes in Google Trends activity, you're substantially better today than you were at this same period last year, which I know might shock a lot of people, but usually that's a pretty good sign of demand. Now, if we look at worldwide trends, basically the same picture here. Numbers are either equivalent to last year or slightly better than last year across the board. Again, with the Model S having a lot more activity this year than what you've seen last year. Tesla continues to run about 3,000 different ads with Google, and global inventory numbers continue to be on the low side, which is good. That means Tesla is not overproducing and underselling. That means Tesla is essentially selling all of what they are producing, and that's why inventory numbers continue to fall. And again, there's going to be kind of a process of ramping the new Model Y to get to that max production stage again. And that's probably another reason why the Model Y is falling in inventory. You're slowly still running down the excess inventory of the old Model Y. Here on the day today, CNN's Fear and Greed Index is coming in at 21. Yesterday, it was at 22. Market momentum, extreme fear. Stock price strength, extreme fear. Stock price breadth, extreme fear. Put and call options, extreme fear. Market volatility is neutral. Safe haven demand in extreme fear. And junk bond demand is currently neutral. And just a broader look at your indexes today, the Dow is down 0.63%, S&P is down 0.67%, NASDAQ down 0.58%, and the Russell 2000 is the underperformer today, down 0.85%. The VIX, though, is only up 2.27%. This is something that I've warned about now for the last couple of days. You've essentially reset some of your oversold indicators, right? Like the VIX that was almost at 30. It's now only at 20, but yet you're still near your lows, right? You're still only off of your lows about 2%. So with the VIX now at 20, there's room for markets to fall here without the VIX, getting to a new high. That's what you've seen in 2022, where the VIX would fall to 20, it would kind of reset, markets would end the bear market rally that you've seen, and then the VIX would go up to 30 and markets would hit a new low, right? And then the VIX would come back down, markets would bounce a bit, and then same process over and over and over again. That's what it seems like is happening to me. Makes me a little nervous for what next week could have in store. And again, that's another reason why I'm just not super excited to be buying the dip here on markets. If we do go into a recession, which I think is probably a 50-ish% probability, the average downside based on fundamentals like negative 15% EPS growth from last year, based on the average PE multiple during a recession, which is about 15.5x, you're looking at an S&P at about 3,400, which is essentially the lows of 2022. And that would be about 40% downside from here. Whereas if things are great, I think the upside is roughly, all-time highs, right? Around 610. I don't like that risk reward. 8-10% upside potential and 40% downside potential. I don't like that. Although I do think some stocks are better priced for a potential recession. Something like Tesla, that's down 50% from all-time highs, has discounted a lot of bad news. And I do think you are vulnerable for upside surprises, like if deliveries are better than expected and Robotaxi comes to fruition in June and lower, cheaper priced Teslas also come this year. That is going to be an upside surprise to Tesla stock. So let me know what you think about this information down below in the comments section. Ladies and gentlemen, have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.